be loads. Loads will turn up. The more you do it, the more you get.
Do you know what? I was listening to Sherlock, I think a couple of days ago. He had some stream I thought was interesting, and I think he's only like 25 or something like that. He's like
Oh well.
he's like a baby. I'm like, oh my God, you're like so
He's like
young.
a baby.
He is, honestly. I'm like 32 and I feel like 5,000, but he's like, I thought he was like some super like, you know, old wise man who's like been doing this for like 50 years or something, but
Someone better have snipped that. Please tell me you snipped that. Sherlock's like a baby.
that's on record now. That's on record.
It's official.
Got a few Dragon Ball fans here.
Ah, yeah. I haven't seen Dragon Ball Z in ages.
Oh, I watch it. I watch it all the time, but I haven't seen a new one yet. I haven't seen
Ah,
a new
okay.
one.
I
But
didn't even know there was a new one.
yeah, it's like I think where they turn into younger versions of themselves, but I don't want to spoil it just in case no one's watched it
So they
yet.
basically have kids.
They basically turn into kids, but yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna mute up and let you crack on.
So, right, what time is it? 6 o'clock. All right. Um. So, okay. Everyone can see my screen, hopefully. Um. I've got the Bitcoin chart. First of all, warm welcome. Thank you guys for joining the stream. Really appreciate it. Now you guys probably know I've been quite active in the chat past few days. I do try to be active as much as possible. Um, I mean, yeah, it's kind of been a bit wild, you know. I think in general, we're kind of in two minds about where the market's going to go, right? Because of this summit, because of the fact that we've got so much liquidity, kind of in this area. I think everyone's talking about it. I'd like to think everyone's talking about it, right? So I'll get cracking. So um, first off, we'll just start looking at the Bitcoin chart. It's a bit of a mess. Sorry about that. It's definitely been a lot messier, but hopefully it's relatively clear what I'm looking at the moment. So obviously you saw that call that I made with the initial short at around 92,000. But then obviously I was, well, number one, I was a bit silly because I thought the next day was Friday and I was kind of worried for people to go in the trade, so I kind of told people to hold off of it. But for the people who were intelligent enough to work out that it wasn't Friday yet, took the trade and it ended up being quite a good trade. Um, so yeah, I mean we pretty much got all the way down to around about 84,700. Now I see Bitcoin at the moment just in this symmetrical triangle. This here was just like a rising wedge pattern that I noticed that I was also going to short myself, but decided to obviously not do that. Um, but it definitely was a good idea to do that. Today has been, I would say, relatively quiet, oddly enough. I wouldn't say there's been too much volatility. Um, we had a little bit of volatility. I think it was last night when Trump announced that he was signing the executive order for the Bitcoin reserve, um, and then it just dumped, which was interesting. So yeah, we're stuck in this triangle at the moment. Now there are obviously some key areas to watch. Um, for me, I would say that dropping down into the 73/67K region down here is going to become a lot more unlikely if we break certain levels. So, for instance, this area up here, 95,000. think if we, and I'm not just talking about a wick, but I'm talking about like if we actually break this level and then just kind of hover over it and we spend time there. We don't just immediately have a wick and go back down. I think there's a good chance that we can say that this low that happened on the 28th of February down here at around 78,000, it was probably the low for this correction. But, I can't say at the moment if we're going to go up or if we're going to go down. And to be honest, I don't think any trader can say that for 100% certainty because the probabilities are very balanced at the moment. I could probably get rid of this here just to make it a bit clearer. Yeah, the probabilities are very balanced at the moment. So some key levels, as I mentioned, for the fact that we might have bottomed would be if we sustain a break above 95k. The opposite scenario, i.e. the scenario where we might not have bottomed and we might see another low, is if we kind of, number one, if we break below this intraday wick here. So this low was at 84,667. I would be worried if we see a break below there because we've just technically made another low. But more importantly, I think if we kind of break before, break here, break after here, that for me would be pretty much confirmation that we will definitely be heading lower. So yeah, obviously, as I said, a few things I'm looking at, 95k, and let's put this on the chart. So yeah, I would say yeah, break below this level, we're in danger. Break below this level, and it's pretty much guaranteed, I would say, unless there's some weird miracle that Bitcoin decides to just turn around at that point. But yeah, I mean, what I'm looking for is that we either ride up, break through this triangle, break through 92k resistance, tap 95k, maybe break through, but then end up like just breaking back down again. That would kind of be more of a fake out. I wouldn't trust that. If we end up, as I said, breaking through 95k, then just kind of accumulating, good chance we've bottomed. If also the other alternative is like we just end up breaking down, breaking out of this triangle, breaking past that previous low we made, breaking past the main low that I'm looking at, then yeah, I obviously see much lower prices. So yeah, this is gonna just be one of those streams that it's just gonna be, I can't tell you, we can look at Link, we can look at Doge, we can look at Solana, we can look at all other coins, but it's gonna be very hard to say it's gonna go one way or the other. I would have liked this stream to be about me saying, yeah, this is the entry that you should take to short, or this is the entry you should take to long. I can't do that because we don't have clear direction yet. But what I can do is I could obviously point out to you guys what to look for. And you guys can hear me, right? Because I saw something in the chat.
Slick. No, we apparently people can't hear you for some reason.
Really?
Yeah.
But you can hear me. That's strange.
Yeah, hold on, sorry, 1 second. Okay. They can hear me. Mally can hear me.
Someone said that they can hear
Okay,
both
stop.
of us. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, people can hear me. That's good.
Okay,
Alright.
cool. Yeah, carry on. People that can't hear you, you probably just got to talk tomorrow on your computer. Sorry, Slick.
That's alright, no worries. Yeah, so as I was saying, I can obviously show you guys what to watch for, what to look out for, areas to look out for. But But as I said, probabilities at the moment are relatively balanced. Um, you know, there's really no guarantee of what Bitcoin is going to do at this moment in time. What is for sure though is that the sooner we get back over 95K, the better if we want to obviously have bullish continuation. The longer that we spend time in this range, the more likely that we might actually see another low. So I think the quicker we get back over here, we can obviously continue. I do think Bitcoin is relatively close to a top. I might have showed people this last time, but I have basically kind of more, I wouldn't say it's guessing, it's more kind of a calculated guess, but I would say Bitcoin, if we get another leg up, would be around 130K to 140K. I would say that is the maximum in the cycle for Bitcoin. So I'm guessing a lot of you, I'd like to think a lot of you use Fibonacci retracement. Fibs are like one of the most important things in trading. It's literally like pretty much almost as important as like using EMAs, using RSI, using supply and demand levels, but a lot of the big guys, they go by fibs. So how I got this sell zone up here was I took the low that we made back in November 2022, which was around 15,500. I took the high up here, which was around 74,000. Then I took the low on the pullback here. Now I could obviously talk to you in Elliott waves, but I'm going to just keep it simple. But yeah, low, high, low. This was a major correction here. We were mainly expecting this correction. It kind of faked me out a little bit because when we broke from 50K, I kind of thought, all right, we're going to go lower, but luckily Bitcoin closed above 50K, and we continued obviously the next leg up. But anyway, so the main targets normally for this kind of Fibonacci retracement would be the 1.382 and 1.618 retracement levels. And that is pretty much where it brings us to this 130 to 140K level on Bitcoin. Now, you could also see that we actually perfectly hit the 100% Fibonacci retracement level, which was at 106,600. I think we pretty much borderline hit that almost spot on. I think it was like 107,793 or something. That is where then there is an expected pullback. Now, funny enough, within this pullback, we pretty much reached the 50% retracement level. This is very high time frame, by the way, because if you want to see like a macro view of charts, always go with a higher time frame. I see some people trading on the 1 minute chart. Kudos to you guys. I couldn't do that for shit. No way. I've watched a 1 minute chart and pretty much had a heart attack every 5 seconds. Like, it's too much. But if it works for you, great. Lower time frames are good if you want to maybe spot potential changes that are happening in real time that you wouldn't be able to see on the macro level. Like the 15-minute chart or the 1 hour chart. You might see breaks of support, and then that might give you an indication that you might be going to a certain level on a macro scale. But generally for swing trading, because personally I prefer swing trading. Scalps are okay, but for me swing trading is like much better. Risk and reward ratio, in my opinion, is a lot better as well. It just takes some patience, which I used to not have, but now I have. So it's kind of a good thing. Um, and yeah, I think it's just it allows you to be a little bit more relaxed. Like you're not gonna have to check your chart every 5 minutes. You can just kind of leave the trade running. You've got like a stop loss. Normally, a soft stop loss is good. Um, and I will talk about risk management in a little bit, but let's just get back to this. So yeah, I would expect that Bitcoin round about this region here between these two fib levels will uh, reverse. Let's just take this out. Um, now, there's a lot of confluences in this area. Mainly also we have this resistance that was flipped to support. We haven't actually tested this support yet at 73, 74K. So this is untested support. And this is obviously kind of like the point of interest here, right? So it's like, do we retest this support before we continue higher, potentially to that 130, 140K region, or do we turn around within this region if we break out this triangle to the upside? Technically, we don't need to test this level in order to have upside continuation. We don't need it. If we take a fib retracement from this low to this high, we can see also here we perfectly bounced off the 50% retracement level here at around 79,000. And you can see here golden pocket area around 72,000. So it's very difficult to say if this was the low or we're going to have one more low. But as I mentioned, the only way you can tell is what happens here, basically, within these key levels. This triangle is obviously getting to a point where it's going to become a squeeze. I would say definitely within the next 2-3 days, maybe if we're lucky over the weekend, but it might be next week. But I definitely believe in the next 4 or 5 days, we are going to know one way or another if we're going to go up or if we're going to go down. And when I say down, I mean down, down, and up, I mean up, up. So that I think is pretty much all I've got to say about Bitcoin. Interestingly, I was discussing this with a couple of people in the chat. You have to look at other things when you're looking at Bitcoin, right? So although Bitcoin is obviously meant to be decentralized and unaffected by everything else, you have the S&P 500, you have the dollar index. They do affect how Bitcoin can perform. There are times, obviously, Bitcoin just goes off its own piece and does its own thing, but those times are not that often. If you look at the dollar, we basically got to a very, very important support level here. This support was basically not tested since like November last year. Now, it would have been pretty naive to think that we were just going to go straight through it. Of course, that wouldn't be the case. Like there would have been a lot of buyers here. We still, I'll get rid of this trend line. We still haven't, reversed substantially, but you can see there is some reaction here. This normally is an indication that there is some kind of reversal that is happening. This 4-hour candle looks relatively strong. And we've got like another hour and 40 minutes left. Now, I've set this this alert on here because these are our previous highs that we have on a much short time frame. These are like a day old, but this would be the first indication that I would say we would, excuse me, potentially retest this $105 level on a DEXI. Now, if that happens, there is a good chance that obviously Bitcoin will drop. We look at the DEXI, it's massively, massively oversold. Okay, so it's going to be pretty hard to tell, but I do see a relief rally for the DEXI, and that will obviously cause Bitcoin to potentially drop a little bit further. Now, will it cause Bitcoin to drop to those two ranges, to those two horizontal points of interest that I was talking about? I don't know, maybe. But again, we'll only really know what's going to happen in the next 3, 4, 5 days. I'm just showing you this as a comparison. We could also look at the S&P 500. So this was a previous low that we had in January, 13th of January. For quite some time, the S&P 500 has obviously been on this rising wedge, very large rising wedge, and we've just broken out of it. Now, that might be and this has been going on for quite some time. That might be an indication that the S&P 500 is reaching also a cycle top very soon. So all these charts like S&P 500, DXY, Bitcoin, they all will have correlations, and the only thing I could say now is that I think we're very close to a top. Has Bitcoin topped? I don't know. As I said, this 107K could have been our top, or 130, 140K could be our top. I don't really see us going a lot higher than that before we get a substantial pullback. But I think now is the time that, if you wanted to pick up some spot, you're kind of a little bit late. You're a little bit late in my personal opinion. I think you're a little bit late. The time for picking up spot. I mean, if we just take a look at, for instance, Solana. Sorry, I haven't particularly cleaned up the Solana chart in a while, but the time for picking up spot for Solana was, I mean, we're like 2 years late, right? It was picking up at $9. That's when you really wanted to pick it up. Now, technically, if Bitcoin drops, then I see Solana dropping into this region here, $112, $120. I suspect Bitcoin's obviously going to get one more low. If that happens, Solana will follow suit. And obviously Solana could, depending on how low Bitcoin gets, could even drop down and retest this region here. I would say that's worst case scenario. That's also more unlikely than retesting this region here. I would still probably pick up some Solana here, even though, yeah, sure, like 2 years ago we should have bought, but I would still pick up some Solana here, because I do think Solana still can run up to around $400. So if Bitcoin is obviously able to run up to that 130, 140K region, I think Solana can get up to $400, which, at the very least might be around about a 4x on spot, which, is decent. It's not too bad. But I mean, I wouldn't say there's like a massively good risk to reward ratio with Solana. Especially how we've kind of dropped out we've dropped out of this trend line, and we are still unable to get back over. And obviously, this was essentially what I wanted to see from Solana. It was an uptrend. Our previous highs were at $260 from the high that was made in November 2021 on the last bull run. But then we dropped out of that trend line. And what I want to see for trend continuation is Solana get back over this trend line. Continue, and then we can potentially get there. But that has to happen first. And again, I can't say if it will happen. It all depends on ultimately what happens with Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin shits the bed, everything shits the bed. That's just unfortunately how it works. You know, Ethereum, I gotta say, Ethereum has really, really, really underperformed. Like, it's been absolute trash. I said this last time. It's really been trashy. So, you know, we were in this uptrend. You can see this trend line here. We were pretty much in this uptrend since like June 2022, and then we fell out. So I think everyone remembers that capitulation wick. Went back over, all good. We were closing daily candles above it, and then this happened. Now, obviously, there was that Trump news that caused a retest of this trend line. Then next day, we basically had an engulfing candle and a straight rejection. This line of support here is pretty much your last line of support until, if that is broken, I am seeing Ethereum come down to these kind of levels here. So yeah, I would say like pretty much here is potentially going to be your buy zone for Ethereum if we fail to hold this area. I am concerned about Ethereum. I don't like how it's looking. It looks weak in comparison to Bitcoin. It's always looked weak for the past, I don't know, like year. I don't know how long it's been going on for. It's been going on for a while where it's looked pretty much like trash. You know, there's so many like Ethereum holders that get like super excited for something to happen and it doesn't. I mean, XRP has been more entertaining than Ethereum, and I don't even like XRP. But XRP, I remember like not even a year ago, it was at like 50 cents or something. And you know, I was at the time just kind of being like, all right, come on, this is pretty much a stable coin now. Something's gonna have to happen. You got the whole XRP army that have been crying since COVID that are just like, you know, could something happen here? And then eventually we had this squeeze and it just basically skyrocketed in like a week. So I mean, kudos to the XRP holders. I could not have that much patience. But I'm very happy for the people who held XRP. Now, again, you know, sometimes you could just look at these charts and you can just kind of see potentially what could happen. I think if we don't get the bull run, for instance, looking at XRP, I think we definitely come back down. Maybe not all the way back down. I mean, if we assume that this was a top for XRP, yeah, I mean, maybe retesting this high up here. This looks like a good area of resistance now, potentially turn as support. But you know that would have to be a very quick wick as well, because we don't really want to like break the 78.6% retracement level, and if we break it, we definitely don't want to stay below that level for a long period of time. That's worst case scenario, by the way. That's worst case scenario that we don't have a bull run. But I can tell you, if XRP ever came back to these levels, I would buy it personally. I mean, you know, XRP has been going for a very long time. It's like 7 years. It's been going for a very long time. It might not move as quickly as a lot of other coins, but you know, it's a good hold. It's a safe hold. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think there's you know, it's being talked about in governments. Yeah, someone said since 2013. I mean, there you go. This is how little I know about XRP, but clearly it has been around for a very long time. Yeah, Ripple. Yeah, it's definitely been around for a long time. So yeah, that's XRP. We won't talk about XRP too much. Now I'll probably just go through a few different coins at the moment. Let's look at the one that Alex Becker completely hates, Cardano. So Cardano holders get a lot of stick as well. I don't know why. They just do. It's probably because it's also quite a relatively old coin. But you know, old coins, they pump, right? I mean, here in November, you know, ADA just went boom and pumped like what's that? It's like a 3x, 4x, 4x, something like that, you know? So we can't completely dismiss old coins like this. Um, and you know, charts like this are kind of good to look at because there's a lot of data. I don't particularly like looking at new coins because you don't have all of that data that you can look at. When you look at coins that at least have been running for a little while, like ADA, like, you know, Matic, Solana, you get a pretty good idea of, you know, where your levels are, where your like daily, weekly range lows are, etc. You know, you've got a lot more information to kind of go on. When you're trading new coins, I would not even be swing trading them. I'd be scalping them if I even wanted to scalp because, yeah, you'd have to look at it on a much lower time frame because you don't have that daily, weekly information, right? So that's why you don't see me telling you guys to ape into Fartcoin, or Butthole, or I don't know, whatever kind of shit is out there right now. I'd much rather trade coins that I know, that don't sound super weird, and I'd have to like go up to my mom and be like, "Oh yeah, I made like 50 grand on Butthole," and she'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Um, anyway, so I just drew this trend line on Cardano because it kind of, you know, I couldn't help myself. It just really looked like a really good trend line that I needed to draw. Um, I mean, you could see that in November we obviously had this impulsive upside movement. So this pretty much is an impulse. There's no arguing about it. And then we had this kind of gradual retest of that trend line. And if we take our fib, we can see that, yeah, look at that. I mean, pretty much perfectly retested the 786 level. 786 is always that level where it's like, if we break through that and we sustain under that, personally, I think we're going to have trend reversal. At that point, I think we're just going to go down, and that's pretty much it. Or it's the opposite. We're going to go up. It depends, like, obviously, how we've drawn it. But yeah, 618 is normally golden pocket level. It's a good level to watch for when we have pullbacks. And obviously, as I said, 786, in my opinion, is kind of last resort area. We lose that, yeah, we're pretty much going down. So yeah, Cardano, I mean, Cardano looks good at the moment. I personally think that this wick that we have here is pretty much the low. I don't think, even if Bitcoin tanks right now to like 67, 72K, I don't think Cardano will drop lower than this. It could, but if it does, I really wouldn't want to see it sustain below this level, below this previous low. You might get a retest of it. You might get it, you know, very, very quickly. Where is it? Very quickly, kind of bouncing off the trend line up again. But as long as we stay above that level that I showed you, that 786, which is pretty much here, then I think, Cardano has a chance to continue. In terms of how high it can get to, let's have a look. Let's draw some fibs. Let's take low here, high here, low here. So what are we saying? So 100% fib level here, 195, 220. So I don't know if Cardano will reach its previous all-time high. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to say how high it could go. You could possibly target this you could possibly target $2, right? $2 Cardano probably sounds about right for this cycle. I don't think we get all the way up to the 200% fib level. I mean, that's not even its all-time high. So I don't think Cardano's going to make a new all-time high in this cycle. I could be wrong, but I just don't think it would. But I would at the very least, if we get bullish continuation across the sector, then yeah, I would target like a $2 Cardano. That would be kind of my prediction for Cardano. Right. So I mean, I'm happy to take requests for different coins. As long as they're not like super shit coins, I'm just gonna be like, no, sorry, I'm not looking at that. So, if anyone has got any coins, let's have a look in the chat. Geonic thinks ETH is gonna go to $1. I mean, dude, if ETH goes to $1, I would literally sell my house to buy it. Actually, I wouldn't, because to be honest, it's just been shit. It's just been so shit. It's been so terrible. So yeah, any requests? If not, Night Ranger, were you serious about Root? Are you serious about Root? I haven't heard about Root in like ages. Is that even still going? Dude, you give me like the shittest chart ever. Like, I don't even know what to say about this. This just looks like, where is it? Let me try and get my bearings. It just looks like hang on. I don't know. What am I doing? Let me just delete that. This looks like A wave down, B wave up, C wave down. So maybe it's bottomed again. Very hard to tell. I mean, is this the oldest? Is this the oldest chart? Yeah. I mean, you bought the top, dude. What, at like 10 cents or something? That's deep. Ugh, that's deep, man. Like that's like a 10x down the other way. That's painful. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. This looks like trash. This looks like trash. I mean, there was another. Ugh, what was that coin that everyone was like hyping about? Um, oh, Tenet. Yeah, everyone was like banging on about Tenet and how it was like the next best thing, and how you should buy it because it's like amazing. So I bought this coin. I think I bought it like here. It was like 6 cents, and I sold it here for like 12, 14 cents, like just doubled my money. But I was like, this is a piece of shit. I don't even know like what's gonna happen to this coin. But everyone was like super hyping it up at the time. Um, and now look at it. It's like it's pretty much trash. Like no one even wants to look at this coin anymore. Um, right. So let's see. We've got someone. Yeah, someone asking it. I mean, this is totally what I was going to talk about, and I like completely forgot. Bitcoin dominance. So let me just clean this up because clearly it's been a while since I've actually looked at this. Yeah, so definitely definitely a rising wedge of some sort. I recall targeting 64%. It's kind of like where I think we were going to get to. That actually was hit during that capitulation event last month. But I mean, it's kind of hard to tell if we're going to continue this momentum. At some point, we're either going to break out of this trend line, but at the moment we're pretty much stuck like in this kind of zone here, um, which kind of was meant to be resistance, and then we pretty much broke through it, and now we're kind of just like bobbling up and down between it. So there's kind of a couple of levels here. This is like the main level. I'll move this up a little bit actually. I think it's probably around about here. It's going to be around this region, like 64.7, 65%. This I think is pretty much our resistance on Bitcoin dominance. So we might just grind higher. That obviously also it could obviously attribute to Bitcoin either going to 95 plus K, or it could attribute to Bitcoin going to 72 sub K. And then we'll reach this area again. Maybe you can say we'd get like some kind of double top, and then we break down. That is a fairly high possibility on dominance. Yeah, not much more to say on that. Not much more to say on that. I do think this is, I mean, this is pretty much your resistance area here, right? Like this is pretty much your resistance area. You would expect a substantial drop if we reject against these levels at 65%, and if we somehow got to 72% up here, you can also expect pretty decent rejection. Another good one that I bang on about all the time is USDT dominance. So we've pretty much got this triangle here. Now, as you guys know, if USDT dominance increases, that means that people are selling. People are taking their money and putting it into USDT, which obviously results in altcoins bleeding. Bitcoin normally would be going down in this situation as well. You can see it's a symmetrical triangle essentially. We're pretty much in the same situation with Bitcoin, right? We don't know if we are going to get breakout to the upside, which would result in Bitcoin obviously going down, or we break down to the downside, and that will result in Bitcoin obviously going up. Now, levels to watch. So we look at this on the daily. Oops, let's go back to this. Yeah, so we look at this on the daily, right? So we can see that there's this trend line here that USDT dominance has been testing multiple times. So USDT dominance reached its resistance up here at around 9.5%, something like that. And obviously we've now been stuck in this downtrend, which is pretty much, I think this is pretty much when Bitcoin was at like 15, 16K, something like that. So you can see that they're pretty much like inversely correlated to each other. But you can see we've tested this trend line here in September 2023, found support here at 3.75%, had a run up, tested the trend line, briefly broke out of it, held down here. This was where I thought, that's it, we're gonna get alt season, but it kind of did a little fake out, little deviation, very small deviation, closed back over support, and then obviously retested again. So this is like the third retest of support, and obviously we're on this this uptrend. Now we've also retested this trend line quite a few times. So we've got here, 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 and here. So, you know, it's going to be a matter of when are we breaking out of this trend line, and when are we going to break out of this? When are we going to lose support here? I don't know. It's hard to say, because if you looked at this as a coin, and you wanted to trade this coin, you would say, okay, this is like major support, right? We know this is major support down here. Actually, let me choose a different color since everything is blue. We know this is major support down here, and we know this trend line is going to be something to watch out for. Let me just delete a couple of these because it's getting a bit messy. So, you know, on a smaller time scale, if we go back to the 4 hour, you know, we are essentially stuck in this range, right? We've been stuck in this range for a little while, since October 2024. This was our resistance here. Tested it, came back down to support. This is pretty much our middle of range here. So let me just move this up, because I was looking at a smaller support level. So let's delete that. Let's just make it cleaner. So we've got our mid-range basically around here. Around here is our mid-range. And you can see, obviously, initially we were trading on the upper end of our range, and then we were trading in the lower part of the range, and then now we're trading in the upper part of the range. Now, if we continue to stay in this upper part of the range, there is obviously a high likelihood, or a good likelihood, that we may break out, and that would be a pretty bad sign for alts, and it would be a pretty bad sign for Bitcoin. If we end up breaking out of this triangle to the downside and retesting this support, we may hold it, but then there might be more pressure for it to go back down into the lower range. Again, we just need to monitor what is going to happen in the next, couple of weeks. Yeah, I mean, if we kind of just simulate what could happen, there is going to be a squeeze here, right? And I mean, if you look at the date on this, it's the 9th of March. That's like 2 days from now, right? That's like weekend. Now, weekends are either completely insane and everything bleeds and dies, or they're just boring as hell and nothing happens. So I would say that definitely, as I said at the start, next week, if we're lucky on the weekend, but definitely next week, we're going to know one way or another which way this is going. And then you'll obviously see a lot more of us kind of wanting to make more calls, being a bit more confident about the calls as well, because it's very hard to trade this market. This is like a kangaroo market, right? It's just pretty much up and down, up and down. No one really knows what's going to happen. And as I've been saying in the chat, until we get a clear direction, it's very hard to take a long trade or a short trade. You can only really maybe go by lower time frames, trades that you wouldn't really be in for a very long period of time. You might be in them for like a day, if that, and then you just bail out of it. You can't really be in a trade for like a week or 2 weeks or something like that, because it is just so volatile and it's just so difficult to predict. Right, that's enough me banging on. Let me check the chat. Can you check BNX after BNX. I've heard of BNX, but like I swear it's like a um I swear it's like a pump and dump coin, but I could be wrong. Um, yeah, so this coin is like a couple of years old. Um, let's have a look. Let's see if we can do some form of TA on this. So that was our support deviation. I mean, I'm assuming there was potentially some kind of good news for this coin. I mean, typically, and this is a little bit of an Elliott wave lesson here. Typically, your third wave is your most impulsive and money-making wave in your 5 waves. So, um, you could say, okay, this is your wave 1, this is your wave 2. Your wave 3 is quite a large wave 3. I mean, it's hard to say where it would have topped. I'd probably say maybe here, and then we could be in the wave 4, and then if we hold that, we could be in this wave 5. And the wave 5 could extend quite high, potentially. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a, this is Binance though. Let me see if there's a exchange that's had this on a little bit longer. I don't think there is. Big gap. No, they all look the same. Okay. Yeah, you get the gist. I mean, I don't know why it's pumping. I definitely can't tell you why it's pumping. Um, what I can tell you is that if you just take a basic fib retracement from the low of wave 2 to the high of wave 3, you could see that it pretty much perfectly um, perfectly was holding that, um, almost was holding that. I mean, yeah, I think this is probably as good as I could get it. This 50% retracement level here. So I mean, it's kind of expected to see a pump of some sort when we have a pullback and it reaches the 50% retracement level. You could also see this 50% retracement level is kind of very, very much almost in line with this kind of with this area of support, resistance turn support, basically. So you can see here that there were a few retests of this area here. Obviously, had a big dump. I can't really tell you why, but I guess the market makers were just wanting to basically get some liquidity that was down here, where there was this low in like August 2023. So yeah, that was pretty much your order block, liquidity grab done, and then you reclaimed your support, and then just had that big third wave. That's pretty much what happened. I mean, we could obviously see that there's going to be some resistance up here, you know, and maybe this will turn into your range again, and maybe it'll just keep ranging, and you know, it could be a good trading ground, you know, for very short swings or scalps, um, you know, and the way you could trade this is, you know, you could buy at range lows, um, sell at range highs, and just kind of keep doing that until it breaks, and keeping your stop losses relatively tight, like that, down again, and like that, and keeping your stop losses tight until, you know, one of them breaks. But it's a pretty good ground to trade, just, you know, fairly short-term trades. Um, yeah, I don't know if anyone has got any more questions that they want to ask, or if they got any more coins. I'm just going to go through a couple more coins. Some coins that I'm a bit more familiar with. Sorry, my Fetch AI chart is like super dirty. Like I super need to clean up. But yeah, Fetch AI, was one of my favorite coins. Um, it's been a bit crap recently, to be honest. I ain't gonna lie. It's been weak. It's been real weak. Um, we could have bottomed. We could have bottomed here around the 58 cent level. It's that 55 cent. Am I confident? Not really. Um, Again, I would probably say, yeah, sure, we've definitely bottomed. If we get at least a break above this previous high at around 66 cents. More importantly, a break above this previous high around 77 cents. Um, I would say Fetch AI is still going to be something that I think will fly at some point, just like Render, because I think Render is even looking pretty smashed up at the moment. There was such a big AI hype back in February last year, and you know, yeah, you can see here like there was just like this massive hype, and then obviously it's just died down a little bit. Um, yeah, so I mean, I've obviously put here that Render has support around $3, and we got down to what did we get down to? About 3.25. So it could reverse here. It could reverse here, but again, same with Bitcoin. Could there be potentially one more low? Yeah, maybe. Um, I think Render here is quite a good buy actually at around $3. I'm gonna set an alert here because I think it's a really good buy there. I think AI coins are gonna do pretty well in the future. This is something that I actually mapped out previously. So I kind of was hoping that we would potentially see Render get to about $20. It might sound optimistic, but when you look back at March last year, where we were at like $13, it's not a huge ask, right? Um, I think that would be it for Render, though. I think that would be a bull top. Um, at the very least, I'd like to see it get back to its previous all-time highs at around $14. But yeah, I think we could stretch to about $20. I think $20 is like my target here. That's pretty much my target for Render. Um, if Render got to $20, I would sell 100%, and I would also enter a short at that point, because it makes logical sense to enter a short when you've reached the 1.382/1.618 fib levels. I will do two more maybe if I've got time. So I always find it funny how TradingView, it's a little dog when you open it. So yeah, I'd actually marked, this is Doge. I actually marked this area as my buy zone. Um, I haven't personally bought any yet, just because I'm not convinced that we're bottomed. I probably should have bought, but I was just being lazy. But yeah, this was definitely the buy zone for Doge. I still think that if we get back in this area, it's definitely a good time to buy. Um, that's a really, really fat line that I don't need to have there right now. Yeah, so there is obviously a chance that again, Bitcoin drops. We could either revisit that level of 18 cents, or we maybe get to this lower boundary line, where we have the 786 at around 17 cents. It's not a huge way off the previous low, which was like 18 cents. So yeah, I would still see this as a really good buy area. One more coin that I wanted to mention is HBAR. So HBAR had like this massive pump in November. I think quite a few coins had a massive pump in November. So this to me was like a third wave, and what we're seeing now is a fourth wave pullback. And if we literally just take our fib, you could see pretty much bang on the money. We bounced off of the golden pocket 618. So yeah, good chance that was the low. Again, could we come back down because we've broken out of this trend line quite aggressively? Could we come back down to this trend line to retest those lows? Absolutely. And would I buy at those lows? Yeah, pretty much. I definitely would. Whenever you see this trend line and then you break out, expect for a retest. So I would definitely be watching this area here. Yeah, I would definitely be watching for this area here. And I will set an alert on that as well. So yeah, I mean, I could probably bang on for quite a long time, but I think we've pretty much reached time. You guys know that I'm like always available. So you know, if you have any questions, you know, you can obviously message me privately. If you have any concerns about anything, do let me know. I hope today was useful. I'm sorry I can't tell you Bitcoin is going to go to 9,500K or 72K. I think if anyone tried to do that, it would be reckless. Um, but we just gotta see, right? We gotta see how the next few days go on the weekend. And yeah, hold tight. Hopefully we have an answer in the next few days of where everything's gonna go. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it. And I'm gonna stop recording. I'm also gonna post this on YouTube if anyone ever wants to watch it back, then it'll be on there. But yeah, have a good rest of the evening, guys. Peace out.